Now it's the end of summer. How many of you had boomy shifts during the summer, during the last couple of months? Raise your hand. I also had. Okay. How many of you had boomy shifts this year? About half. I had my first boomy shift after exactly 8.5 years of practice. When I had my first awakening experience, opening of the first boomy, that was, when I started practicing Zen meditation in January of 2003, I started sitting 8 hours every day from that very first day, 8 hours. And I didn't miss a day until 8.5 years later, when I had my first awakening experience. And then I just realized that, things are different. But so it took me a long time to open the first one. Well, I didn't have specific techniques to generate it, so that's why. But I'm glad I then in 2011, in November, my tantric teacher Sivakami had already passed away a year earlier, and then my senior student, my Dharma sister, Devi Devamani, who is Indian lady, she gave me an empowerment to this mantra of a particular deity, and that did the trick. It opened my first boomy. And then the second boomy, in my case, because I had practiced so much, the shift was so-called wet inside instead of dry inside. What it means that, when we have people who haven't watered the lawn before insight happens, then it's kind of a dry insight. And usually dry insights are not that profound, not that deep. But nevertheless, even dry insights are, there is clearly time before and after. So sometimes it is said that it's best to practice shamatha meditation, calm abiding meditation, and whatnot to water the lawn, so that when the insight at later stage happens or is generated, then it's like a more profound experience. But I don't agree with that, because I think that whether it's dry or wet awakening experience, they both have the same quality, that of having a momentary cessation of the conceptual mind, and then recognizing one's basic nature. So I don't think it's a valid argument to say that, okay, now you practice calm abiding or some other practices for 3, 4, 5 years, and then you will have the first insight. I think it's a waste of time that way. So, as you know from my posts, from my presentations, the way I see it is that the sooner one starts having awakening experiences, recognitions of the basic state, the better. And that is, of course, very logical also, because, that's the great medicine. That's the greatest medicine to our existential illness. So in my case, the lawn was soaking wet. You know, when I had my first Bumi opening, and in our Sangha there has been similar cases. There is Matt, who from UK, who had done, I think, 20 years of Goenka Vipassana and other similar practices, and then he had his first awakening experience. And I remember that, you know, I met Matt a few times during the next year and a half after he had the first awakening experience, and he was like a how do you say, like you could see that it was a really wet insight, really wet awakening experience, just, you know, very clear and very settled, and also very happy, very joyful. And it was exactly the same for me. So let's see, I had my first one in November 2011, and I think the second one opened like early 2013, so like year and couple of months later. So and I don't remember, maybe I have it written in my diary, but I don't remember if I did any, if the second Bumi opening was related to some practice, or if it happened spontaneously. I do remember that, you know, during the first 6, I had like spontaneous Bumi openings. That just kind of happened. I might be having lunch or having breakfast or watching television, and then there was a awakening experience, cessation, and things were different. Things were clearer than before, clearer than moment before. And I think the third Bumi opening, so the second one happened like a year and a couple of months after the first one, and the third one happened maybe a few months after the second one. So it took me maybe a year and a half after those previous 8.5 years of pretty serious practice to get the first 3 open. And then 4, 5, 6, I started my Bumi video documentation from the second Bumi. So that is still in YouTube. I started posting those videos in YouTube, and I didn't actually know at that point, I didn't know that none of my masters had told me about Bumis, or told me about awakening experiences directly related to those Bumi centers. But I realized that, okay, so I had the first one, and then after some time I had the second one, and when I had the second one, I realized that, okay, something is different. And I must have felt that my energy also changed. And then as I had trained in Zen art, in Zen painting and Zen calligraphy with Terayama Sensei, and also did a lot of shiatsu massage and Reiki, like energetic healing. So I was already quite familiar with, you know, different types of energies and sensing different types of energies. And because my own energy changed, I had the idea that, well, I'll start photographing myself and taking video clips of myself. And even if I didn't know that there was to be like 13 of these opening experiences, and then after that perfection experiences. So I started filming myself with the second one in early 2013, and there are videos of my documentation of all the Bumis ever since. But I had my 6th one, it was I think in the summer of 2014, like 2.5 years after the first one, I think so. So it took me a while to open the first 6. So the reason why I'm telling all this is why I'm talking about Bhumi opening process is that to kind of give context to this that you can yourself use. But then again, it took me a long time to get into the awakening business because I didn't have the tools like we have in Pemaco now. So, you know, in my personal path to Pemaco practitioners is not very useful, I think, in a sense. You know, what I have studied and practiced and put a lot of time and effort into those practices, I don't think are that useful. Like if you went and started studying Rinzai Zen, for example, that I spent quite a bit of time with, I know for a fact that there are much better ways to much more efficient practices than those in Rinzai Zen Buddhism. So, and I mean it purely as a pragmatic statement. That's just how it is. So yeah, like in my personal path, maybe I'll just sum it up by saying that I've done a lot of things that are not necessary for my students at all. So I've made it through the marshes and swamps that you don't have to worry about. You have other swamps and marshes to deal with. Then I had my first Mahasiddha Bhumi, 11th Bhumi, open in November 2016, which is soon 5 years ago. And that was a game changer. I remember, you know, I started teaching professionally, like full time, in October 2008. So it's almost been 13 years. And there are a couple of Sangha members who I've known even long before that. I've known Ismo since 2000. We went to school in the same town and we got to know each other a bit already by, 21 years ago. And then Kaisa, my lady friend, we've known each other since 2007. I had come back from Japan and I was doing like monthly Zen meditation and Zen calligraphy sessions with just a small group of friends. And she joined those sessions, as did Ville. So there are a couple of Finns who I've known for a long time. And also there's a bunch of like the core Finnish group of practitioners in our Sangha. Tia started practicing 2012. Helena started maybe 2014. Päivi started in 2013 maybe. So they've been around for a few years. And so regarding Mahasiddha Bhumi openings, I remember 5 years ago, so what happened? The way how I learned the 13 Bhumi model was from a Hindu Mahasiddha called Tirumular. He's a very known figure who has written classics in historical times, and he's considered one of the greatest Mahasiddhas of the Shaiva tradition, especially Southern Shaiva in southern India. So Tirumular, who I practiced with for a number of years, he just pointed out to me that, okay, now I had maybe 3 or 4 awakening experiences, and I have figured that there's a succession, like there's just you just keep having them, and with each experience, your mind is clearer. Kind of the clarity grows with each opening. the field of clarity is bigger and bigger and bigger with each shift. So then he simply pointed out that, well, look at these energy centers, 6 here, 7 above the head, and you will notice that some of your centers are closed, some of them are open, and when you have the next opening, it will open the next one on the ladder. Great. Thank you very much. So that was literally the only instruction, the way how I learned the 13 Bhumi model, and the only instruction Tirumular gave me about it. And what is also really interesting is that, Tirumular, there has been this, especially from the Buddhist side, there has been this criticism, even bashing about Hinduism, Hindu practices. But what is really interesting is that I think in 2014, when I shifted from Hindu Tantra to Buddhist Tantra, and then started practicing with Machik Labdron, and then a little later with Guru Rinpoche and Yeshe Tsogyal, the Buddhist Mahasiddhas didn't feel the need to change or remove or replace anything in the 13 Bhumi model that I had learned from a Hindu Mahasiddha. Isn't that interesting? So I always, because I've spent so much time in Guru Yoga with a bunch of great Hindu Mahasiddhas, a great number of Buddhist Mahasiddhas, then Jesuses, some Taoist masters, because of that, I have no doubt whatsoever that full enlightenment that in Buddhism is called Buddhahood exists in all other traditions as well. No doubt whatsoever, because of these Guru Yoga transmissions I've had. So Tirumular. Yeah, so what was interesting, so Tirumular simply gave me the rough sketch of it, right? And what is really common actually in I received many teachings from many different non-physical masters and teachers, and what is really typical to those instructions is that, okay, here's the rough sketch and you go and learn it. So there's no extensive commentary, there's no there's no thick book where everything is explained. It's just like 1 page or half a page of stuff, and it's very profound, and then I'm supposed to figure it all out myself. And I actually appreciate it now, because it has made my own practice as well as my teaching throughout the years, it has made it a journey of discovery. And that's very important, I think, that a journey means that you go to new places, see new things, and as you go, you learn about stuff. You gain experience by doing the journey. So I highly appreciate it now. But there has been many times when I didn't appreciate it all, because many of you know about my struggles in the world where there is so much orthodoxism in Dharma, in yoga, in Buddhism specifically. So there was I had my dark moments and really, really difficult moments when it felt like a curse more than a blessing. I have to be honest about that. It was so, pardon my French, so fucking difficult, so too many times that, well, it actually ruined my health, because I had to do so much work to get the whole thing, our Dharma mission, rolling, and there was so much resistance throwing, sticks and stones at me at the same time, that that was just the extremely hard work I had to do, an extremely hard path I had to go through. But nevertheless, made it this far, and I'm really, really grateful for that those years and those struggles are behind me now, and behind us now. So yeah. So I remember 5 years ago, when no one in the Sangha had opened Mahasiddha Bhumis, we didn't know if, for example, we didn't know if all the Bhumis 13 would open one by one, from 1 to 13, or if the 10 Bhumis would have to be perfected, and then the 11th would open. Like such things we didn't know. But now we know, when we've had so many people have 13 awakening experiences and open their 13 Bhumis, we know perfectly well how it works. So usually it is from 0 to 1, from 1 to all the way to 13, and then starts the Bhumi perfection process one by one. First one, Bhumi plate, gone. Second one, Bhumi plate, gone, and so on, until all 10 are purified. And after the purification of the karmic Bhumis, the 10 Bhumis, what I'm working with is that perfection of 11, 12, and 13. I had my perfection of 13th just yesterday, which is why I'm still very tired. It's a big shift and it's demanding for the body. Also, I did a move earlier this week, so it's been I was already very tired when that happened. But then I still have some purification, some opening to do. I shouldn't say purification, that's not right. Some opening to do with 12th and 11th until it's all done. So that's the process, that's how it goes. And I wanted to describe to you, kind of give a time frame to all of you, that it took me a long goddamn time. Long time, 8.5 years. Imagine, I did calculations at one point, and during those 8.5 years of retreat style practice, I did 24,000 hours of sitting. That's a lot of sitting. So then, on the other hand, there has been a couple of people in our Sangha who have opened all 13 Bhumis in 2 or 3 months, in a very short window of time. But then usually it's, maybe you could say that it takes a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, maybe on average, to open all 13. And especially in the beginning, after the first one, the start might be slow. It might take 6 months or even a year that not much happens. Not much happens. But then at some point, it's sort of like a dam that blocks big masses of water. Like when a dam breaks, first there is the small hole, bigger hole, and then the whole dam breaks. So yeah, that's the way it often happens, has happened in the case of many Sangha members, and just letting you know how the process is. So Bhumi openings, awakening experiences are in one way the goal, but in other way they're not. The way how they are a goal is that the goal is to recognize our basic nature. In a session, was it yesterday or Friday, I explained that, when we recognize our basic nature, it of course means that our delusions, our self-based tendencies, they start to crumble away. Just like a dry mud, it crumbles away. So, that's what a Bhumi opening and Bhumi perfections mean. They are the shifts when old stuff, some extent of old stuff drops away and doesn't come back. So that's simply an indication of proper, successful practice. But if you start thinking that, okay, now I have 7 Bhumis open, so I'm now aiming to open the 8th. It doesn't work that way. The way how it works is that you develop genuine love, genuine care towards all sentient beings who suffer. If you don't have that, you won't get beyond the 6th Bhumi. You will not. That's a fact. That's also a discovered fact. So that's why, in Mahayana and Vajrayana, we develop care. We develop genuine care towards all beings, because that gives us access to our whole mind, meaning all Bhumis. If we don't have that and we practice, we will limit the benefit of the practice to 1st to 6 Bhumis. That's Theravada Buddhism. That's Hinayana Buddhism. Small vehicle. And this is Mahayana or Vajrayana, Tantric Mahayana. So yes, you do need to have the right motivation. You do need to practice to attain Buddhahood, to help and support others, to lead others out of cyclic existence, to lead others out of suffering. You do need to have that. And some of you might be ready and just have it right away. Perhaps because you've seen so much in life that you will just have it. Or perhaps you have such habits from past lives as a practitioner that you just get it right away. But in other cases, if you don't have it right away, don't worry about it. Develop it over time. Contemplate your own suffering. Contemplate about the suffering of others, of all others, everywhere around us. And that's how your heart motivation starts maturing. But yeah, that's a requirement. If you want to get to the good stuff, Mahasiddha Bhumis, your own Buddha nature, you do need this loving, caring motivation, compassionate motivation, bodhicitta. So when you have that, then do the practices that we have. Rainbow Body Yoga, dynamic concentration, Deity Yoga, Guru Yoga, and so on. That's how automatically those Bhumi openings and perfections, successful signposts of practice, start showing up. And when you keep practicing, maybe the signposts come, like I said, maybe they come every couple of months in the beginning, maybe they come every 6 months in the beginning, but eventually you will kind of gain a momentum in that, and you will get all 13 open. Maybe it will take a year, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 years, 5 years, but nevertheless, it will happen. And I have to say that, sometimes our Sangha members are frustrated because, it's been 3.5 years and I only have 12 bhumis open. Jesus goddamn Christ. Do you realize how rare it is to have Mahasiddha bhumis open? It's extremely rare in this world. Extremely rare, I tell you. If you don't believe me, go out and do bhumi analysis. Go to different sanghas and do bhumi analysis to people who you meet. I'm telling you, it's very rare. So remember that. And not only to have Mahasiddha bhumis open, that's very rare, but even to have 6 bhumis open, it's very rare in this world. No need to believe me, go and analyze. I've done exactly that. So, so signposts of successful practice, they are there if the basic requirements are there. And as the signposts keep coming, it gives you confidence that that your practice works, and it gives you confidence about your own reality. You start to know yourself little by little, because this basic nature, this Buddha within, you become that Buddha within, and this old skin drops off little by little. Exactly like snakes and spiders when they shed skin, exactly like that. And eventually, you will only have the new skin. Then the old skin it's gone. It's like a past life. One phrase that I love is when, masters, Vajrayana masters, when they have written about inability to think, say, or act negatively or harmfully when you are done with purification process. I think that's very beautiful. That idea that there is this, no matter what we have done in life, all of us have been in bad arguments about something, bad fights. We've called our family members, our wives, our husbands, our friends, our parents. We've called them with bad names and they've called us with bad names. Maybe we've done some crimes in life, just awful shit that we do as human beings. Regardless of all that, there is this complete purity and goodness in us that never goes away and cannot be taken away. And this basic nature of ours only has positive qualities, only has good qualities of goodness, kindness, and love. Also has the quality of discrimination. It is not stupid love, like aimless love. Not like that love. It has clarity, and this clarity means discrimination. So we don't become fools in love in that sense. But there is this love that is much more profound than emotional love or hormonal love. That's our basic nature. And this we are, when we have openings, perfections, we become familiar. We grow in our recognition into our own basic nature that we already have. And this is what people need to understand. I mentioned this one or two times during this weekend and have mentioned it many times before, is that old traditions and religions, they gather baggage. They gather just needless and false baggage. And one baggage that is misleading is the loadedness of Buddhahood, loadedness of that word, loadedness of other words also, other concepts. And this is the reason why, recently it's not really a conscious effort, but I realized that I kind of try not to speak in old terms because of that baggage that can be scary, that can be off-putting to many, and so on. So this is why I use, basic English language to describe what we are doing and what the goal is and how our basic nature is. But what I was saying is that many modern and ancient masters of Vajrayana, they have spoken about that when purification process is over, then we are actually unable to do harmful actions. Isn't that something? I remember, this little talk turned out more biographical than I first thought, but I've done stupid stuff in my life. I've been drunk 1,000 times, like properly drunk, like finished drunk. And I, fought with all my best friends when I was a teenager. And, I've been a dick, let's put it that way. So I've done my share of samsaric activity. And I certainly thought badly about people. You can't really, in my experience, you can't really avoid that when the purification is still in process. As long as we have samsaric mind, it will keep producing samsaric activity, meaning samsaric karma. You can't avoid that, in my experience. So, and you can't avoid being dull and bored, depressed, anxious, irritated. That was a big one for me, getting irritated over just petty little things. You can't avoid it. But there is a point when you finish your mind purification process, and that is all gone. It's gone and it's not coming back. And this is nothing mystical. There's absolutely nothing mystical in this. It's just like we can have a glimpse and we can have the first awakening experience. And then, like when we have the first bhumi open, it's kind of like first we are looking at a wall like this and you can't see through it. But then you have the first bhumi opening and then you're looking through the small hole. Instead of looking at a wall, you're looking through the small hole. Okay, life looks very, very different than it did before. You have this small hole of the lens of basic nature that changes. And when you can have the first opening, it means that you can remove the rest of the stuff the rest of the wall that is still up there. That is only logical. And I'm sure that, most of you have been practicing Pemako for a while and have had these openings. Just keep at it. There will come a time when the wall is gone. There is no wall. There is no hole, not small, not big. It's gone. And then you won't have any self-paced stuff anymore. Not in any form or shape. Not even the subtlest energy of dullness or boredom or irritation. Gone. Gone beyond, completely gone beyond, completely gone beyond Bodhisvaha. That's enlightenment. That's the end phrase of Heart Sutra. Okay. This was my little motivational talk. I don't know it was that good actually. But hope it motivated you a little bit and gave you clarity regarding what we're doing here. And maybe something that I would like to ask you is that, well, do your practice well and develop genuine love for all beings. Develop respect and care for all life. Even if you sometimes have to raise your middle fingers and say fuck yous to others, nevertheless, keep coming back to genuine care. That's one thing. And another thing I want to ask is to, well, this is an advice that I got myself years ago, to find your own path. Make the path your own. Forget about the Buddhas of the past. Forget about the legends of the past, saints and sages. Forget about them. Don't let their example scare you or demotivate you. Make the path your own. Have your own experiences. We are in a completely new situation in the world, and especially the Western world, because, well, there has been Mahasiddhas in the outside Asia, many of them, but this is modern times. These are the times we're living now, and those traditions that in history produced Mahasiddhas outside Asia, they are pretty much dead. So in a sense, we are in a new situation as Westerners, that we are building or making something completely new, and because of that, we have to make things from scratch. In Asia, anywhere in Asia, when you start practicing Buddhism, you can just go to this block or the next block, and there's this huge Buddhist temple with a golden dome on top of it, right? They have Buddhist culture, Dharma culture everywhere. We have none of that. And I think that's good in a sense, because we have our minds open and there's baggage. And whatever baggage we might have from reading books or attending teachings, traditional teachings, let's put it that way, we don't need to keep it. We can drop it. Oh, let's sit a few minutes before break. May all beings be free. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be prosperous. Join your hands. Good. Let's take a meal break for 1:30. So we'll continue at 7:15 p.m. A little over 1 hour and 30 minutes, like hour and 35. So see you at 7:15. Okay, enjoy your break.